It's Wheel, Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
We are live streaming on our YouTube channel, Sportsnet's YouTube channel. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jennifer Rolnick, Sammy McKee, with you all for the next 2 hours. The Toronto Maple Leafs drop an overtime game to the Florida Panthers, but get a shootout victory over the Washington Capitals as we inch closer to ending the longest NHL season in history.
And not just by feeling, quite literally, right?
Literally, correct. Never have we gone this late before. Usually, we are a little ahead of the NBA. Does that sound right?
Yep.
I can't even remember.
All of this, Kyper, to find out that you draw the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions in the first round.
Score 8 goals a night now.
Who also are the Florida Panthers offensively.
The East, as far as the playoff positioning, or at least granting a ticket to the big dance, was pretty much established when? End of November?
Yeah, Sam, what was the stat you had on 100 points?
I am looking at it here on my lineup. This is from Luke Fox on Twitter. The Washington Capitals now have 100 points. It's the first time in NHL history that all 8 playoff teams in one conference have at least 100 points.
All 8 playoff teams at 100.
Do you remember when you had
No
100?
one else had any points.
Sick parody, Gary. Nailed it.
Yeah, chuck the parody out the window. And 8 is very dangerous right now in the East.
Yeah.
More so than it has been historically.
100-point team is an 8 seed. Yeesh.
There are some good storylines, I think. Vegas not making the playoffs or potentially missing, still to be determined and is undecided, is a huge story. But we'll get into that later on in the show. We got Alan May coming up in about 40 minutes. He, of course, covers the Washington Capitals. Maybe he'll give us an update on Ovi.
Yeah.
Because that is not a scene that we're used to. Ovi disappearing
No.
in a hockey game.
He wasn't happy either. He sure showed his helmet, the business, when he was walking down the hallway.
So what did we make out of this weekend? Because this is something that we've kind of circled on the schedule months ago about how down the stretch they were going to see the likes of the top teams in the East, which was always Florida and Tampa Bay. So what looked like 1 out of 4 with less than a minute to go ends up being 3 out of 4 points.
Yeah.
And for both of you, and I'll start with you, JB, did they do enough for you just to get through it and work towards game 1?
You know, the whole weekend to me felt like injuries were the only thing I thought about the whole weekend. Like looking at the lineup, last night they were without Tavares, Liljegren, Muzzin, Sandin, Campbell, Bunting, and they find a way, and that's great. It just, the whole thing felt like, who's going to be available for this team? Are they going to have guys ready for the first round? They're resting guys for the first round. You're playing these games against good teams, but it just felt like the focus was staying healthy, getting healthy, who's decent in the return from health. It was all about health for me.
I like the fact that they, at least going into a very difficult game from just a physical point of view, it's not easy jumping on a plane and getting out of Fort Lauderdale and landing at Dulles Airport.
Yeah.
And then you've got like a 45-minute, 50-minute bus ride. Like those guys did not.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it was a tough travel.
It is. It's not. I've been in that predicament, man. You're rolling in. Your head's not
3
hitting.
3 a.m. or something.
At least 3 a.m.
Yeah.
to play the following night and to hang in there, I thought was an excellent thing overall. Why don't we start with Sheldon Keefe? Sammy, you okay? You got a quick comment?
I just think it's hard to overstate the importance of that Jason Spezza goal to tie the game late last night. Because if that goal doesn't go in, we're sitting here talking about the Leafs potentially blowing home ice. Because if that goal doesn't go in, they need 3 points from these next 2 games as opposed to needing 1 point from these next 2 games. And Tampa's got a cupcake the rest of the way. I forget who they have, but they got 2 easy games. And if they, like I said, if that goal doesn't go in, they lose 3-2, and you're heading into this week, you're being like, oh, you got to beat Detroit, and then you got to go into that last game of the year where you actually need some sort of a result to guarantee the home ice if Tampa wins their last 2 games.
Yeah, you're right. Right now they're 5 up. It could have been 3. Tampa with a game at hand. They win that. It could be 1.
It just,
all of a sudden it's like, ooh.
It was a sneaky important goal in a game that I didn't really think mattered a whole lot. But I love that comeback. I did. They were down 2 with 7 minutes left in the game. Not a whole lot to push through. We'll listen to what Keefe thought. But yeah, I love that game in Washington last night.
All right, let's start with Sheldon on the first Kyper's Clipper of the week. Coming off, I'm sure what he thought was a very good effort under tough predicament.
Yeah.
Real gutsy effort, gritty effort for the guys to find a way there. You know, we didn't have much today. It seemed like we were playing on fumes most of the night. So, you know, we're encouraging the guys at 3-1 just to not accept their fate, but keep pushing and start with 1. Huge goal by Mickey gets us going there, and then 6-on-5 comes through.
Not accept their fate. You like that, don't you, Sammy?
Love that. Don't accept.
You know why
fate.
you like that?
Why?
Because you've hated their fate for a very long time. That's why.
Fight against what feels inevitable.
Hey, that's personal, isn't it, Sammy, when you hear that?
I would like them to, don't accept their fate in approximately 1 week time here when the playoffs start. Please don't accept your fate against the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions.
You know, I thought the Leafs, it just went in for them last night, like in the third period in that comeback. It was a tough spot, as you mentioned, tough travel, playing a good opponent, back-to-back games. You know, it's not like they played amazing or anything, but they played well enough to give themselves a chance. The puck went in, they get the win. How about Shalgren in the shootout? Kid looked good.
I give him a ton of credit.
Yeah.
I really do. To be able to kind of bounce back, first of all, mentally off of that.
After Tampa beat him mercilessly in an alley.
Lacking. Right?
Beat down.
Yes.
Against a team that's rolling, that's feeling pretty good about themselves, over 100 points. I think Shalgren showed a lot. Let's get Sheldon's comments on his goaltender.
Yeah.
He was great. I mean, I thought the guys in front of him did a good job. I thought, despite the fact that we didn't play well today, we didn't manage the puck well today. You could just tell we just weren't sharp. I thought defensively we did a good job. We didn't give up a lot of really high quality chances, but the ones that we did, and especially when we got some long shifts in our end, and then of course the shootout. He was excellent, and I love to see it. You know, like we talked about the other night. I mean, it gets away on us and him in Tampa, but I mean, you saw enough in that first period that was the focus, to try to build on that and be encouraged by that. There's some of the world's best shooters on this Washington team as well, and he stood his ground. So, you know, I'm really excited that the team found a way to get a win for him.
I think it speaks a lot about him, last night's game. And as you just said, coming off of something that for some could be traumatic.
Big time.
Come on.
Yeah.
You get shelled, you get lit up. You know, there's no chance of you coming out of the game. That's another thing for goalies. Sometimes I've been on enough benches where like 2 goals, 3 goals go in, and they're sneaking peeks to the bench.
They're like, he wants out.
He wants out.
Yeah.
And he's looking.
Yeah.
And he's looking for the signal from the coach. And I'm like, you know he's cooked.
Yeah.
When you start looking for the hook.
There's no nice way to put this exactly, but like he knows the team doesn't care about him. And I'm sure they do as a person. I'm just saying, but they don't care about his well-being emotionally right now. They're like, you just got to do this for Jack. Like we kind of, all our eggs are in the Campbell basket. So I've been impressed. You're right. At the bounce back. I also just thought like the poise he showed, you know, I thought the shootout was just so impressive. There's a few really good moves on him and he was patient. He let it come to him. He's Swedish, right?
Yeah. Shootout moves sucked. Again. Like, what is Kuznetsov doing? How is that allowed?
He scored,
I don't care.
Okay,
How is
first
that
of all,
allowed? It's stupid.
It is stupid.
The twirling of the stick.
Yeah, but going
Mid-attempt?
in,
Just,
it's
like, what is the purpose of the stick twirling? Like, what is
Check
that?
me out.
I can't
Check me out.
I can't
Look at
stand
me. Like
Kuznetsov.
that to me is just stupid. If he was my teammate or I coached that kid, like, what is the purpose of it?
He's the entertainer, I guess. I don't
He
know.
scored. He did score though. That's the thing. He did score. He
And that'll
converted.
be everyone's case who disagrees with us on
You
this.
know, you
is he
can
scored.
score by
Yes.
just doing the exact same thing without
I'm
the
gonna say
twirling.
the mid-shot twirl didn't help.
I hate the slow and I didn't think that any of the Caps shootout attempts were that good.
Yeah,
like,
they were fine.
They're slow.
You know, I was saying this to Sammy, like to me that Kuznetsov play violates the spirit of what a shootout
Correct.
attempt is. To me, the idea is you get a breakaway. No one's even going to defend you. Go take a breakaway. Cool. But it's still, like, in theory, is supposed to be like a hockey-like situation where you get a free chance. I don't think we intended this to be like, you know, the way he's making a mockery of it.
Yeah,
But it took him 6 seconds instead of 3 seconds. Can you put a shot clock on this? I don't know.
I'm okay with
Slow?
a little slower. I'm okay
little
because
slower. That was a
the
joke.
hands have gotten so much quicker over the years, and that warrants east-west than just the north-south that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but to the point where it's almost a standstill, now you're flirting
Yeah.
with which I agree with you.
Have
But
a miles per hour minimum
I didn't have an issue with Kuznetsov's
speed. Yeah.
I just had it with
I
just
hate
the goofy, like, even if it is showboating. Oh, let me get this straight. You can twirl, but nobody else can. Like, if you're doing something that very few can pull off,
Yeah.
then I have a chance for you to argue, hey, we're trying to track kids. It's a YouTube moment. It's an Instagram. We're trying to sell the game. Okay, but twirling your stick
Yeah.
that everybody can do? Do you want to see like 10 of those last night?
I bet some people would say yes.
Yeah, it was a
Can I meet the person that says, I love the twirl stick?
It's a
In
hot dog
YouTube
move.
comments, let's have it. Who enjoyed the squirrel? The squirrel.
The squirrel.
the twirl.
Yeah,
That's
he's a hot
That's
dog.
where Shalgren should have just speared him.
Well, I keep debating on these slow ones. Like, what do? Like, you can't rush out of your net. I say like a 2-pad jammer. Maybe throw the stack down at some point.
So I think I had a theory before the show, before you got here, Kyper, that Swedish goalies are really good in the shootout. I always have a feeling that they're very good. And the number one, who do you think the number one save percentage all time for goaltending
See,
in a
you can't
shootout?
lead. You can't lead. Great guess. You can't lead with a question like this that doesn't have a gettable answer.
The number one save percentage all time and 41 shots against is Linus Ullmark.
Was that your next guess?
Okay, how about over 100?
So the guy with the most ever shootout saves is your boy Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah.
293 saves in the shootout on 406 attempts for a 722 save percentage.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Now, Shalgren, somewhat controversial, only because when you take out your modern day scorer
Yeah.
in history, Ovechkin, something that we hardly have ever seen over his career is Ovi getting hurt and like leaving and disappearing.
The
And
Capitals
not-
blog is called The
not
Russian
coming back.
Machine Never Breaks. I mean, he never breaks, that guy.
He bent last night.
Oh, he bent deep. What did you think of the play? So I kind of thought it was a dirty play. And if not dirty, because I don't know that it was on purpose, dangerous.
Okay. We've heard. Let's listen to Shalgren.
Okay.
And I'm warning you, it's very uneventful.
Here comes a thrill ride of a quote.
And for that very reason, I want to hear what he has to say.
I think he skated into my stick and tripped on it, so it was not my intention to trip him, and I hope he's well.
I hope he. What's his name again? Whoever it is, I hope he's well.
I hope this email finds you well.
It's like he's writing from the front lines of
Best
war.
wishes. I hope
Warm
he's
regards,
well. You're
Eric.
well. But that totally speaks to his demeanor. That guy is like that 24/7.
Yeah.
There is nothing that is getting that guy excited at all.
Like airplanes crashing, downward trajectory. He's like, oh, we are in a steep descent.
And that may be one of the reasons why he's able to come off of a 8-1 loss and turn in an effort like last night, because this isn't a guy that gets too high or gets too low. This is a guy that just rolls.
Ovi wasn't mad at him. He was mad at the refs, right, for not getting a call there. God, should have been a trip.
100% trip.
Yeah.
So how does that work? If the goalie trips you when you're on a breakaway, should it be a penalty shot?
Love that. I love it. No, because the shots happened. So it's just a random
that
trip.
That was not the most beautiful backhand deke from
He
Alexander
could have got a
Ovechkin.
call.
For sure.
Right? For 2 minutes for tripping.
Right. Just not a penalty shot. One thing that stood out to me last night, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews played a lot. And that happens when you don't have John Tavares and you don't have Michael Bunting and you kind of lean in these guys. You're chasing the game, right? Trying to score. It works out for him. But last night, Matthews played. Well, Marner was over 24 minutes. Matthews is 25-20. That's
too much.
Too much.
But, okay, can I be the devil's advocate here?
Yes.
I understand that playing those guys a lot it's at this time of year in a game, it's probably not the smartest idea. But Sheldon Keefe is the coach of the team, and he's trying to win said hockey game, and those are his by far two best players, and you're trying to win. Like, if you don't want them playing that much, maybe sit them out. Like, I think it's hard once they're in the heat of a game to be like, oh, I'm playing these guys too much.
And did Keefe?
But you did sit out one of your top players for 3 games. So he should be fine, whether or not you still want to go to Mitch Marner, who's chasing a century mark that he really wants to hit. Are you giving him the day off tomorrow night against Detroit or the last one in Boston? And
yeah, it's a good question.
Okay.
Who, Matthews?
Marner.
No, Marner.
Marner.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Marner. But Matthews got his rest. He should be good to go.
Yeah,
I thought,
he
and
won
for me
60.
personally, I thought he was a little rusty.
Matthews?
Matthews.
Yeah.
I'm watching the telecast, and they're just loving him, and with a good reason. I mean, even his rusty game, in my opinion,
very good.
is still extraordinary. But I thought his timing just a little off.
I'm with you on that. And same thing, I read a lot of articles today that were like, he had 24 shot attempts over those 2 games, which is obviously astronomical. He had I don't know how many shots he had, 15 shots maybe over the 2 games.
I think some of them he should have looked for a dish instead of the shot attempts. I think he was a little overdoing it. And, I mentioned Marner with his century mark. Listen, this guy still has 60 on his mind. For sure. You don't get that close without trying to close it out.
He passes on a 2-1-0 to Marner. He hit Marner in the slot a couple times. Like, he was around the play. I just felt like, I don't know, you mentioned timing. Like, something just felt like it wasn't quite right.
Even the 2-1-0 with
that's a good
Marner,
example where the timing's not quite right.
To me, that's a great example of him not being totally sharp
Maybe
here.
Fake one before the pass.
He didn't do a thing to sell it.
Yeah.
Telegraphed. Right?
Yeah. And
not a thing.
Vanacek never even thought he was going to shoot. He played the shot the whole way. He should have played the whole the pass to Marner the whole way.
It was his angle. He needed to come off the post because he was more towards the middle of the net. Mm-hmm. There's less distance for Vanacek to slide over and cheat off of Marner.
Yeah.
And
so those little things offensively wasn't quite the same.
That to me is just I've been off a little while, a little rusty, and which is fine, but that's not the best Austin Matthews yet.
No, and again, plays a ton, gets a lot of looks. It's just there's more there for Matthews, obviously, and good that he's got a few games to get back into the rhythm, which makes me wonder, it's important to kind of keep that sort of mojo going. What do you think is going to happen here as they get close to the postseason? Jake Muzzin is probably ready to come back. Like, is he going to play 2 games? Then you want to put him in that lineup? Rasmus Sandin hasn't played. Michael Bunting's probably not going to play. They have a lot of decisions on guys.
I'm really worried about Jake Muzzin.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I think after everything he's gone through in and out of the lineup, how can there not be doubt right now going through his mind? Am I ready? Do I want to come back a third time? And Or would it be the fourth time? I've lost track.
No, it's third.
Third time to come in. If I'm not ready, pull myself out of the lineup. I'm not sure what choice they have. I just hate the thought of facing Tampa Bay without a Jake Muzzin.
You know, the most likely way they do their D pairs, he probably gets Justin Hall again. I think you probably do Brody back with Riley. Giordano and Liljegren have been good. You know, so, and that Muzzin Hall pairing has struggled at times, but man, it's just, there's a lot of players that are going to be coming back for the first time, and you're not going to figure it out against Tampa Bay. I hope that over the next 2 games, hopefully Muzzin gets to play twice and just get his feet under him a little bit. Sounds like Sandin may get a chance to practice after Tuesday, and he'd be available at some point. You know, Bunting, I don't have a real sense on, but
are they like Kasha's going to step in either game 1 or game 2? Does he try to sneak in a game now against Detroit or Boston?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a guy in a perfect world you like back in the lineup.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's and that's why it feels like the Leafs have a team, you know, they have the guys they need to play well. Just are those guys going to be good enough versions of themselves? It feels like terrible timing with Tampa just absolutely humming right now.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Did they beat Florida 8-4. 8-4.
And did you see what happened after?
No.
The boos rained down in Sunrise after Tampa beat them 8-4. So
the crowd booed the President's Trophy favorites.
Well,
okay.
Think about like the comparison where, you know, Sheldon was able to somewhat protect Jack Campbell through all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he protects him off the 8-1. He gets him to a place against Florida.
Yeah.
That was respectable.
Thought he played well. Really well, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled with the goals, to be honest with you. I did not like the overtime poke check. All he needed to do is just be big and just close it up. I thought it was a bad attempt at a poke check that was unnecessary.
Lack of commitment on it. There are some moments like that, of course, where. Anyway, go ahead.
So at least Sheldon's able to protect Jack and then not have him go against Washington. And now he can pick and choose whether or not he wants him in either Detroit or Boston. I don't know. Do you
0 games, 1 game,
yeah, 0
2
game,
games,
1 game, 2 game. But listen, before we get into that, my whole point is last night, Andrew Burnett couldn't do that last night against Tampa. Like, you've hung out Spencer Knight and you hung out Bobrovsky. Like, to me, that's complete opposite.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just a guy that's overthinking or lack of experience, but I got a couple of games to go until the puck drop, and now I've got both my goalies embarrassed by Tampa Bay last night. Too close to game 1 for me.
That's actually an awesome point.
Well,
I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a great point. This Florida team is gettable. I mean, they're going to win the President's Trophy, quite likely. Washington is going to get them. Like, Washington doesn't look like that much of a powerhouse to me, but whoever comes out of Leafs Tampa Bay has got a shot.
I have an interesting stat when it comes to
all right.
This is from Draglight Poll on Twitter, that the Florida Panthers have 120 points this season.
Okay.
And in the salary cap era, 4 other teams have finished with at least 120 points. Here are their playoff results. Detroit in 05 and 06, they lost in the first round.
Yep.
Washington 09 and 10, lost in the first round. Washington 15-16, second round. Tampa 18-19, first round.
That is a really bizarre stat. Don't do too good.
That's wild. I mean, like, I don't really think you want to lose more games in the regular season, but that's just a crazy. I think
What was Washington's year?
They did it twice: 09-10 and 15-16.
I remember Tampa saying when they lost to Columbus, part of the problem was that going down the stretch, they didn't play meaningful hockey. Like, Columbus had to scrape and claw to get into the playoffs that year. Tampa limped in with Tampa rolled in with 126 points.
I think 09, that would have been the year that they got shellacked by the Habs, right? In 09-10.
Good get, yeah.
And then 15-16, I
Okay.
can't remember.
Now I'm just trying to remember.
Rangers, second round, 15-16.
I'm just trying to remember the goaltenders off those losing years. So I've got, I think, Osgood / someone else, and he was absolutely horrific. And it wasn't. I don't think it was Osgood. I think it was his backup at the time. Go. Yeah, I don't know if you can pull that roster up, but
No problem.
you know
Your point is goaltending.
You could have as many points as you want if you don't have a guy in there that you trust and believe in.
Yeah.
Then it's not so much a coincidence, right?
Yeah. Jack Campbell now is last 3 games. Sammy's got him here at a .931 save percentage. Last 3 starts. So Sammy, you were saying you don't think he should play again till playoffs.
I would like just no more games. What's the point? Gonna hurt him. Something bad's gonna happen. I don't like him in these 2 games.
Just stick
the,
him
the
in.
3 games for the 3 goalies for Detroit that year were Manny Legacy, Chris Osgood, and Jimmy Howard.
Yeah, tough to know when those
Manny
guys were,
Legacy.
where they were in their career arcs
I
because they
think
had good years.
Where's
and they had-
Manny?
Manny Legacy played the 6 games in that playoff series.
There you go.
And
yes.
he
couldn't stop a beach ball.
correct 884 save percentage, 265 goals against.
Yes.
That would actually be interesting to check on all those
Yeah.
teams. I bet the save percentages were all below 900.
Not just a
You don't need to, Sandy,
not a
just-
beach, not a beach ball that kids play with. I'm talking about like the giant beach ball that like monster
the cartoon
trucks,
at a
monster trucks play with.
Yeah. No, that's what it comes down to. So, do you think Campbell should play against Detroit or Boston? Let's assume the Leafs are going to get in. They need to either get 1 point or have Tampa give away 1 point to get in. They're getting in, or they're getting home.
I don't
ice.
worry about him getting hurt.
So then he's got to play again at least once.
No more.
If I'm
he's gotta
Jack,
play once.
I want to play once this week. 1 game.
So here's the likely scenario for their first round schedule. We don't know exactly, but it's quite possible the Leafs start on Tuesday. The season ends Friday. They could conceivably start on Tuesday. Is that the 2nd? Is that right? Yes.
Or the Monday.
Or the Monday.
Yeah.
The Monday. So if it's the Monday, I don't want Campbell playing Friday and then Monday. Like, you want him going in with some fresh legs? So give him Detroit, then give him a week. 1 week before playoffs, lots of practice.
I would hope that Jack wants 1 more game.
Yeah.
Sammy.
He can want as many games as he wants, but
Sammy.
you can't beat Detroit and get 1 point in home ice with Shalgren in net. What's the point?
No, you are
just gotta
going to
play
get.
to
You're going to
stay
get.
sharp.
You're
And you
going
just
to get.
can't not play.
You are getting the point. No, whoever is in goal. That's
Yeah.
not what that's about.
But I was going to say Tyler Bertuzzi. Can Tyler Bertuzzi play here? I don't know. Somebody comes flying through there and bonks Jack Campbell on the head, and we're sitting here the next day being like, why the hell did he start?
No,
because
no,
you know
no,
he
no,
needs
no.
to play.
No.
I don't think he needs to.
Listen, that's what these guys. You want to play. You just.
Well, and
That's
just-
what you
just
do,
get
Sam.
back
You're
into
a player.
Just
That's
get back
you
into
play.
the rhythm.
You just play.
All right, boys.
And what do we think of? Were you surprised to hear John Tavares taking the day off on Sunday?
Loved it. And I think the Leafs are better 3-on-3 without John Tavares because every time and I think John Tavares has been good this year and had his ups and downs, but every time they've lost in 3-on-3 overtime this year, it seems like it's John Tavares skating as hard as he can against someone on a breakaway.
And not catching
him. Yes.
Our show planning should really just be going through our group chat from the weekend because that was one of the first observation. And by the way, the observation was not about the back check on 3-on-3, which he was at the wrong end of a shift. Going the other way too, where he had like a partial breakaway. The speed is just, it's not there.
It's his strength.
It's not how he's effective. He's still very effective.
He's effective from the hash marks in.
Mm-hmm.
And he battles and he can come up with loose pucks. He can make great plays and he can score within 3-4 feet of the blue paint. But you get him in a track meet and it's over.
Yeah.
Barkov's back check Saturday night.
Yeah.
Wow.
He won a Selke, right? He's as good as he gets.
No, that's a wow factor.
Yeah. He's a special player.
And I don't want, I know the season's over, but you want Nylander and Tavares out there on a 3-on-3?
Nah, I don't. So here's my thought on that Florida game is that would be the most stressful playoff series for Leafs fans of all time because it just feels like at any given second, a goal or a rush is about to happen. Like the puck is a second away from going in someone's net. You turn the puck over crossing the blue, and it's going the other way in 1 second.
Those teams are no good for each other.
Oh, it's like your buddy that you shouldn't go out to the bar with. You're like, every time you and I go out, it just
ends badly.
Is that a chapter in your book, by the way?
Yes, it literally. It's like, yeah, you want to go out for one? It's like, I could do one, but not with you.
And then it's 7-6 beers.
Yeah, exactly. 7-6 beers, exactly, Sammy.
It's for me, it's just a recipe for disaster when you have that mindset.
I don't know that
they have to find a way.
Yeah.
They just have to find a way. Both these clubs have to find a way to just tighten it up. And at least against Washington, I saw signs that they didn't have their A game. They were on fumes, as Sheldon said, but find ways to just keep it tight. Be a little patient. Wait for your opportunities, and maybe even get a little help from your coaching staff.
Yeah. Hey, about the Beaner? What's up, Jordan Bean?
Yeah.
Shout out to him for the glove pass turnover. I don't know. You know, Sam, you've got, I know, some feelings about
Do you want to hear the clip, or do we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
go to the
do
clip,
the clip
on the video challenge.
We didn't see it at all. Nobody on our bench was talking about it. Credit to those guys. You know, Beaner is on the ball with these things, and honestly, it seems like there's 100 things a game that they pick up on. It just doesn't always result in a goal. So I sometimes think that sometimes they may be cheering for us to get scored on in some of these cases, so it's a chance for them to shine. But yeah, it was great. It was a great job. They communicated it well. They were on the ball. It was very clear to that we should challenge that. Like I said, I don't know if on the broadcast they picked up on it, or if anybody in the building or anybody would have picked up on that. But they have a job to do there. Beaner takes the lead on it, and Sam supports them through all the other things that they have going on behind the scenes there. So huge moment in the game for sure. So again, it was good.
He got a good chuckle out of making that comment that these guys are hoping that
Make
they
me
get scored on.
relevant.
But he ain't kidding. He's
No.
100% true.
Yeah.
Right? Anything that can make me look good.
Yeah, listen, hey, video brethren, like, I know Jordan a little bit, and you sit in like a back room, you're a part of it, but sometimes you can't feel the energy of the bench. So when you get that call right and the guys come in and give you a little love, feel part of the whole scene.
I just got to say, Beaner is an elite nickname.
It's very hockey. Beansy's
Beaner.
probably better.
Beaner.
But there's always two sides to every story. And if you are in a playoff game, you better get it right.
Oh, yeah. Well, the coach will say, well, at the end of the day, it's on me. But you're right. Behind closed doors, it's like, hey, don't ever get in my ear and tell me something wrong ever again.
Can I ask you about the reviews? Because to me, that felt dirty. The offside review, the one that had no impact on the play after, it just the 13 seconds before the goal, other things happen with the hand pass. I feel like it's such a fast game, and it's so against the sort of spirit. Go back to the spirit of the game. Like, if the refs don't catch it, 13 seconds go by, it goes in the net. I don't know. It just made me feel a little dirty that goal didn't count.
Yeah.
It was the right call, I know, but it just, I don't know.
I get your point. There's we've all agreed that didn't happen, and we've all been trying since then. So a goal should be worth something. Half a goal.
And for the record, there's other things in your life that make you feel dirty too. So, I mean.
What's that?
No,
Fill me in, buddy.
Oh, no. Listen, we can't have it all.
Right.
I'm okay. I am now to the point where, especially on the offside, it is yes or no.
Yeah.
It is cut and dry. Was Abruzzese offside? 100%.
He was. Yes.
No debate, no nothing, no feeling dirty, Sammy, no goal. That's it. We're there now, aren't we?
Yeah. I get what both of you were saying. They got the calls right, and that's the point. Way to go. I also get the teams keep playing after these instances happen, and it's so hard to score that when you do, it's frustrating to have it negated.
Been okay. They
That was Abruzese's first point. He got taken away, by the way.
To Sheldon's
first career.
Sheldon's point, they're the only ones that picked up on that. That wouldn't have been picked up in the NHL war room where they would buzz down if they, saw something. Or maybe they wouldn't know. They'd have to wait for the challenge.
Right.
But there are other instances with puck in the net.
In the net, yeah.
That they would whistle it down and try to avoid, excess minutes.
Hey, am I missing something with Abruzzese? Am I missing, like, I guess just there's always guys out of the lineup. Like, he starts the game playing with Matthews and Marner. They're trying to get something going, right? They're trying to put him in a position to succeed, but, like, he is not a big guy, not a particularly fast guy.
Yeah, but we've been through this with Nick Robertson. It's like, what's left? Like, you cover yourself because of the skill level. And you just hope that you strike lightning. Well,
Keefe had a good quote the other day where he said that every time he touches the puck, our team touches it next. So he's not turning it over. He's getting it moving in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, if this guy's a part of the 12 in playoffs, things have gone awry, is all I'll say. I just don't see anything this year for Abruzzese where I think he can be a needle mover. And I hope I'm wrong there. That's my hot takeaway on that.
He's fine. Gives me a Nick Patan vibes.
Well, this is about this time of year moving forward. It's the depth.
Yeah.
And we see Bunting gone. Now I'm starting to hear that it's not as bad as they may have made it out to be.
They may get him back.
They could be a situation where maybe the swelling went down and he's feeling a little better.
Okay. That's encouraging.
So,
can we also have the talk that you two guys, the poo-pooing Bunting before the show, going,
I wasn't. Yeah, I was poo-pooing him. I don't know.
I mean, this guy's going, what's he got, 50, 60 points, played in the top line.
I'm okay with Bunting.
40 penalties this year.
Sammy was more of
Sammy's like, I hate Bunting. Remember that?
No. That's a little strong. I didn't get that vibe.
He didn't say that.
Listen, I do have a little old school to me, and the guy that's acted like that all year, never been in one fight, just rubs me the wrong way. And it has for a while.
Yeah. But obviously want to see him come back, be part of that top group.
For sure. He's good for the top group. There's no doubt. He's an important player.
He's proven that the things that he can't do physically, he can make up for.
Smart cookie.
With his uncanny timing.
Good timing. No doubt.
And I think he's a much better passer than I probably would have given him credit for.
I think that's because of his vision. Like he has a good sense for where guys are on the ice, and that's helped smart players offensively in Matthews and Marner.
My only concern over the course of the year was wear and tear on not a very big guy.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason why he's able to draw penalties is because he goes down easy.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes down easy because he's light. He's not a heavy guy.
He's light and he's clever.
Whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And he's very clever. He can sell it. Some guys are really good at just selling calls. I think he was called for one embellishment, I think, or two. He got fined, I think, earlier in the year.
One, I think.
So they are a little weary of that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always been about the wear and tear. And I think on the weekend, we got a little bit of an example of it.
Yep.
The games are heavier. Florida heavy, Washington heavy, Tampa Bay heavy. How is he going to every other night for 4 weeks, 6 weeks? They get to a conference final. What's going to be left of
Maybe it's
Bunting?
a well-timed break for him. Maybe it's a well-timed to let the rest of his body catch up. He's going to play 78 games this year or whatever the number is.
There may be times when you've got to pull him back a little bit to save him a little bit or get, rejuvenated if the wear and tear becomes an issue.
Yep. So before we go to break, we have one more clip, I think, right? We have the Keefe home ice clip. They clinch home, not clinch home ice, but they make it very likely to have won home ice. Keefe weighed in on the importance of that. Let's get him. Tell us about that.
Well, it is. It's important because we're in control of it right now. If we weren't in control of it, I'd probably downplay because that's just the reality of it. So, in terms of in the series itself, some of those things are probably a little overstated because you do get home games. Obviously, the real advantage comes in later in the series, in a Game 7 type scenario, but you've got to earn your way there. We'd have the ability to start on home ice, and we're in control of it right now. So we might as well get it done and secure it. But we're not there yet. We didn't get the necessary points on this trip. So that's the way it goes. We gotta finish that off here, but that won't trump anything else, any other decisions we have to make if it comes to the health of our players. So we'll see where we're at when we come out of this.
I agree with him 100%. You're there. You take it. Don't.
Yeah.
I think it's a great accomplishment, and to have Tampa Bay underneath you. Now, the only question is how does everybody feel? You don't expect Tampa to lose 2 in a row, do you?
No,
to start
ever.
the series?
No. I mean,
so is there a sense of we've lost home ice advantage with a split? It's I would think they'd be in very good shape going into Tampa, even if it was a split.
Yeah, I don't know.
I said
Start
it
with one.
I said it last
It
week.
depends on how you lose, right?
That's true.
I said it last week. I can't wait to come in here whenever the day after the game one, Steven Stamkos hat trick, him after the game being like, I just love playing in my hometown. Kucherov being like, yeah, we really do
Boys are
flip.
skeptical
We
today.
really do flip the switch. I'm not skeptical. I'm excited, but
Yeah.
extremely nervous.
Would it be clear that Tampa Bay would be the favorites, even though the Leafs have home ice advantage?
I think betting.
What are your betting boys saying?
Betting wise, Leafs would be a fave.
I bet Leafs would be a very, very, very slight favorite. It'd probably be pretty much a dead heat, I would guess. There's the potential for the Leafs to, you want to slay the Dragons on the way. It could be Tampa Bay and then see Florida next, then get the Bruins in the conference final. What do you think, Sammy? Good path?
It sounds tough.
Let's go.
Sounds like a hard road.
All right, we got to get to Alan May.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. As JB just said, Alan May, who covers the Capitals for NBC Washington, a former teammate of mine. We're going to get an Ovi update from him. He always knows way more than he leads on, and we're just going to squeeze him for all that information. Mike McKenna as well, Daily Faceoff hockey analyst. We'll get his thoughts on the goaltending matchups coming up next week. And our boy Sammy Cosentino is going to come by because what happened? The Leafs signed somebody, did they not?
Dryden Mckay. Leafs signed the the college Hobie Baker winner, a goalie. All right, we got to go.
All right, all of that and more after the break. You're listening and watching Real Kyper and Bourne, show number 140.
Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
We're going to welcome in Alan May as soon as Sammy finds him for us. As we stated on top of the show, 8 playoff teams in the Eastern Conference with over 100 points.
Wild.
Let's welcome in Alan May. Albie, first of all, thanks for joining us. How are you, man?
Doing great. How about you guys?
We're good. Washington Capitals are the last to hit the century mark for points. 44, 23, and 12. My question to you, and you've covered the Washington Capitals all season long, of course. Does it feel like a 100-point season for the Washington Capitals?
No, it doesn't. And for all those other teams, it does not as well for the majority of it because there's so much, COVID and the injuries and all the man games lost for everyone in the National Hockey League this year. It's been so frustrating at times. And at other times you think a team's going to go on a roll and take it away. And the Caps are like probably 6 other teams in the Eastern Conference that have been that way. And it's just been an insane season with all the different storylines.
So it looks like Washington will get Florida in the first round. The President's Trophy favorites right now. How do the Caps like their chances there? The Florida team, for all their points, they don't seem unbeatable.
Well, when you think of it, one of the things with the Panthers is how many times that they've gone into overtime and played their games this year. So having to play, the game in regulation and 5-on-5 overtime, it's going to be different. And they're a team. I don't think I've seen a team, I think I said this the last time I was on, that's had so many fast breaks and odd man rushes in the new era of hockey. So they're built for speed. They're built for offense. They're built for open ice. And there's not a lot of that in the playoffs. So, if that's the team the Caps are playing, they've definitely got to put a 5-man wall at the blue line and chip away at it, a lot like they did when they won in their Stanley Cup run. And they still have enough players left over that they can identify and understand that that's going to be their number one mission, is to be a solid defensive team and not try to trade chances. Even though they've got Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, they can't go back and forth with the Florida Panthers if that ends up who they're playing. But you know what, guys? There's still so much time left in this season. You never know what's going to happen. It's been just so absolutely bizarre.
Before we get your thoughts on Ovi, just the overall thoughts you had on last night's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and how pissed off is Washington blowing a lead and losing 2 points in regulation time to a goal under a minute?
Well, I know for a fact last night was probably the most upset they were all season after blowing a game, and it all went south after Ovechkin left the game. And, the guys let up, and, it just seems like they were on their heels. And, they did a lot of good things in the game, but at the same time, when you give it away the way they did, they still end up losing a shootout, but they let Toronto get back in the game late in the game by backing off, not being physical, not taking away the middle of the ice, and they let them wheel and deal inside the offensive zone, which they really didn't do all game. They didn't let them get that 5-man cycle going, and that's ultimately what cost them the game. So and they certainly had their chances in overtime, and on that power play, talk about a time when you want Ovechkin playing. They definitely want Ovechkin on the ice in that 4-on-3 power play, because that thing really wasn't getting the looks it needed to get.
No kidding. So the Capitals played Tampa Bay like under 3 weeks ago and had a look at them then and beat them. What are your thoughts on what the Lightning have going on right now? Looks like Toronto's first round opponent, crushing teams right now and running up the offense. They look legit again, don't they?
Absolutely. And it's that time of year when their best players are starting to rise up and take it a lot more serious. And not like they don't all the time, but it's just that the way they play, they've become a real physical team. And, the things that they do now, they bullied the Maple Leafs last week. They bullied the Florida Panthers in the last game they played. And, those things are important. I think you have to be able to play all styles of the game. And if they want to go back and forth, they can do that. But I think they realize their bread and butter now is playing gritty hockey and scoring timely goals. And it's been great to see their transformation, that they understand, each and every single player on that team understands how important it is to play physical and defense-first hockey in the playoffs.
One of those bullies at times can be Ovechkin. So before we get your thoughts on what a dirty player that Källgren is, man. that underestimated Swede taking out Ovi. Give us an update. Have you heard anything? Is it hopefully not serious for Cap fans, Ovi's injury?
Well, I do not believe it's serious. And one of the things the Caps have done this season, they haven't believed the players so much on their health. They've exercised caution because, Nick, you and I were great liars when we were playing. You want to stay in the lineup. You want to play every game, and you don't want someone riding in your spot. So you lie to the coaches. You tell them you're fine, and the coaches here have shut the players down this year because last year it got them in a boatload of trouble at the end of the year. And I think it was 6 or 7 players over the last 10 days of the regular season last year that went down, and all of a sudden there were ailments all over the place. And right now, I don't think they'll let that happen. So, Ovi, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play because he's so stubborn that he always wants to play. He's the kind of guy that will play sick. He'll do whatever, and it'll be up to the team to, put their foot down and say, no, you're not playing. And I think that might be the important thing to do. And it doesn't sound like it's serious at all, and it's just be precautionary, if anything, just so no one has egg on their face if he were to actually go out there and get dinged up in the game, and then they'd have to wear that forever.
So all kidding aside, was Ovi pissed off at Källgren or the official for not making a tripping call?
I think he was just campaigning to try to get a power play, and he probably wouldn't have went down the tunnel. And I still don't know. I haven't talked and asked yet if there was a concussion spotter there and that they sent him off the ice as well. So I think he was just campaigning for a penalty and trying to get on the power play. As you know, he loves the power play, loves getting out for that. So it wouldn't have been surprised me if that was just a campaign by Ovi to get another crack at it.
Alan, what are your thoughts on the big dogs on Toronto there, Matthews and Marner last night? Matthews had been injured, back in a couple of games now. He hasn't scored in about 5. Did he look the same to you? Is he look as dominant?
No, he didn't. And he kind of played a ginger game, and it wasn't usually. I'm just fascinated by a lot of the moves that the guy has and the way he handles and carries the puck. The ice was just absolutely horrible yesterday, and he's about the only guy that handled it right where it wasn't flipping and rolling and bouncing on him. It's because the way he covers the puck at all times. But I don't think he was taking chances yesterday, putting himself in harm's way. And it looks like he's probably just making sure that he's ready to go game 1 of the playoffs and doesn't add anything else to what's been going on with him.
We had a quick conversation on Kuznetsov's little twirl with a stick. Is that something you've seen before, or is that over-exaggerated last night? Because I don't understand it. Can you explain to me what the heck that is?
He just does it. It's just part of him. He's a flashy, flamboyant player.
Okay, enough said. Enough said.
Yeah, and he just, he's got the great bird celly when he scores a lot of goals. That was absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to have it timed for my show tomorrow to see how long it took him to get down and score once he first touched the puck. And then my video guy is going to slow it down because I can't keep track of how many times he touched that puck forehand and backhand. and
like a Ginsu knife. Order yours today.
I want to know. And he was going so slow that I was worried the puck was going to stick to the ice because the ice was absolutely horrendous. It was worse than old Cap Center days yesterday. And I know the players on the Leafs were complaining about the humidity in the building. And it was, close to 90 degrees yesterday. Wow. It was pretty humid in D.C. And it was hilarious when he goes down there. And he's done that a couple times now. But it just blows me away that guys can actually do that and have the nerve to keep going and going that slow and have the confidence to do it. Because if you don't score in that, you look like an absolute fool. and almost like every shootout goal, the ones that guys don't score on, you're like, damn, what the hell was that? And I probably said that 6 or 7 times for players on both teams last night in the shootout. I was like, what the hell was that? That was disgusting. That was awful. And it's amazing when it doesn't work. It looks so bad. When it works, this looks incredible.
So what has to come together for that Capitals team to go on a run? I mean, you can see Crosby and Malkin, another run at a cup. Who knows how many years Ovechkin has left. Can it come together for this group still?
Can come together for any team in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we've seen it before, those LA teams. And, it's just a matter of your mindset. And there's a magic potion. And Nick got to be part of a magic potion. And, it starts from the GM to all the coaches to all your players. And just everything's got to come together at the right time. And then you need, we always talk about hockey gods and being injury-free. And then you have to have bounces. And, there's just so many things that go into it. And, when you hit a post, instead of bouncing out, it bounces in. But I think identifying the exact style of play, and I know the year the Caps won the Cup, that on April 1st that year, they threw a different system in, and they got it honed in and locked down on how they were going to play. And they went into Pittsburgh. It was Ovi's 1,000th game, and they went in there and they put a 5-man wall at the blue line. If they couldn't get to the puck on a forecheck or they couldn't get to the hit with absolute 100% certainty, they backed off, and then they rode the puck into the ditch at their own blue line, forced every single team to dump it in, and just were very opportunistic. And I believe the Caps have a team that's capable of doing that right now, and especially they're older. I don't think they can go run and gun. And to me, it's all about how they're going to play without the puck. And we saw them do an incredible job against Tampa a few weeks ago. I thought they did a really good job for the most part yesterday. And in Colorado, I think it was Wednesday night, and they shut Colorado down. They blocked so many shots. They blocked 7 McKinnon shots alone. They blocked 11 in the third period. They were pissing off the Avalanche left and right with the solid defensive and physical play, all at the right times, and scored on their golden opportunities. So I think it's that type of play and that type of mindset that's going to get them back to winning some playoff rounds. And under the previous coach, they played a soft game. They played a soft offensive game. They played a soft defensive game, and too many passes for the shot, trying to go through sticks inside the offensive zone. And I know it works, but it doesn't work when there's 5 guys between you and the guy you're passing to. And I think chunking pucks at net, playing ugly, and scoring just absolutely awful, disgusting, ugly goals is the way to win in the playoffs, because pretty doesn't work. And I always say on my shows here, if you want to play pretty, if the team wants to play pretty, we're all going to be sitting on the bar stools watching other teams play the rest of the playoffs. So I think ugly hockey is what the Caps have to revert to, and it's got to be that mindset starting game one, no matter who they play.
We're talking to Alan May, who covers the Capitals for NBC Washington. Alan, would it be a bigger deal on who starts in net for the Washington Capitals when you look at Samsonov and Vanacek? Man, they're split right down the middle, virtually, with games played here. And maybe it would be more talked about, except when you look down most every other team, they may be in the same predicament in terms of who's got outstanding confidence in their guy, with the exception of, say, Tampa Bay.
You know what? It's that way around the league by and large for almost 100% of what you just said. When you look at it, Florida, Bobrovsky's not been a good playoff goalie over the years, and so there's question marks. So if you can get into his head early, and you go around, what does Boston got? They got Swayman and Allmark. There's question marks all over the place there, and I think a lot of the teams, the coaches are to blame with because of the hook and the goaltender. He's got the right eye on the bench and the left eye, wondering if they're going to drop the puck after the goal that's just been scored. So it's about gaining confidence and not eating your own. And I think the teams that stick together publicly for their goaltenders and that don't let leaks get out to the media and say, we're really concerned with this guy, they go away. Toronto's got goaltending questions. Washington's got it. And Washington's got 20 game winners, 20-plus game winners in Vanacek and Samsonov, and they've only done that once in franchise history, and that was back in the early 80s when Brian Murray first started coaching the Caps and when they first started getting into the playoffs. And it was Pat Regan and I think it was Al Jensen. Those were the two goaltenders. So it's all about, I think you have to make sure you're protecting your goalies, not leaving high danger opportunities. You can't allow breakaways and odd man rushes all game long. And no matter who it is in the playoffs, that's how you have to play, because I know the Caps were able to pick Vasilevsky apart the year they won the Cup because his team wasn't playing properly. And when I say that, it's about you have to limit those odd man rushes, and you have to play smart, physical, defensive hockey. So, I don't know which way the Caps are going to go, because both these kids have shined at times and both have let ugly goals in. But I think right now, we have so much content because of social media and all the different things that we do, radio, television, internet, that, every goal is a bad goal. And I always say it was a couple of weeks ago, the Caps just got blasted in Toronto. And I said, I didn't put any of the goals on the goalie. I said, the Caps played a brutal hockey game. It was disgusting. At the turnovers, the odd man rushes, you're playing a speed team, allowing them to play fast. And the goaltenders were put on their heels all game long with what was going on. Backdoor goals, no goalie should be able to stop. So I look at that. They go into Denver, their next game. Well, they go into Montreal. They were kind of sloppy there. Then they went into Denver to play the Avalanche, and they played a lockdown game. And the goaltending was big because they didn't have to worry about all the odd man and backdoor stuff. So I think as long as the team plays properly, I don't think any team plays properly. I don't think you have to worry about your goaltenders.
Alan, one question on the other side of the league here. What are your thoughts on what's going on in Vegas? They look like they're scrapping for their lives here. Still a team that, probably could be dangerous if they get in. But just what are your thoughts on how they've ended up where they're at?
Well, that's what happens when you allow your team to be a soap opera. And they allowed their team to be a soap opera last summer. They allowed their team to be a soap opera all season. And when you're talking about all those other things, you're not talking about winning hockey games. And the players get asked those things. And right now, Vegas is lucky that the players are doing all their interviews, in those rooms. Two guys going up with their masks on, and they're not doing the reporters aren't in the rooms going, one-on-one with the player whispering, because there'd be a lot more dirt going on right now because the media can't get direct access to the players. And they've been too much of a soap opera, and I think they deserve everything that happens to them. I would say that the majority of people around the National Hockey League want them to fail because of it. And, the lack of loyalty and, the next shiny new object is always better than the object they have. And you look what they did to Dadonov and what he's been able to do for them. He's one of the big reasons they're still in it. This guy's been scoring important goals the last little while since that, whatever that trade was, the trade, no trade. And it's, he's been one of their go-to guys. And, their manipulation of the salary cap, I think the league needs to investigate that. All of a sudden they got, 7 guys on the long-term IR. And it's just funny how that worked out with Mark Stone coming back. So they've been too much of a soap opera. There's been too much going on there. And I'm kind of in the corner. I don't want them to make it because of all the things that have gone on.
No question that would be a huge story, Vegas missing the playoffs. So if we swing it back into the East before we let you go, no question that 8 teams in the East have aspirations to get to a conference final, if not a Stanley Cup final. In your mind, outside of Toronto and Washington, the respective clubs we both follow, who's in line for a first-round crushing loss?
Oh, this is a tough. Toronto's got so much pressure on them with where they're going to go here in the playoffs. I think Carolina's right, and Carolina's got a lot of weird injuries going on right now. Both their goaltenders. I don't know what the health status is today. And Stahl is so important to their possession time. He goes 17-0, 17-2. 18-3 in games in the faceoff circle. And for a speed team that likes to possess the puck, if he's not healthy and isn't able to play at 100%, that's a huge shock. And they changed a lot of pieces on their team since the Caps played them in the playoffs in 2019. And it's been such a different look. They're not as fast to me as they used to be. They still are playing the same system, and teams understand, you got to be really good below the face-off dots in your own zone, because that's where really the Hurricanes kill you. And you got to manage the puck at their blue line because they're really good at turning it over and going down and getting you on the odd man rush. So, but I honestly believe that they're in for an upset here early in the playoffs.
All right, Alan, we really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, take care. See you soon.
Thanks, Alan.
Alan May. Yeah, it's let's bring in Sammy before we go to break here, and we'll pick up Mike McKenna after the break, and I want to get into Carolina with him as well.
Yeah, great. Good. Nice, Boston. You get into that spot, and you get to play Carolina, who it's soft in the playoffs with no goalies. Good.
No goalies.
Great. Yeah.
Boston's going to get Carolina, and then the winner of Rangers Penguins.
Good for them. Really happy for him.
This whole thing a year later for Frederik Andersen is playing out exactly how it did
How the Leafs thought it might.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Where it's, okay, you're out. Carolina's kind of waiting for him, I think, to come back. And I don't know if it's
Is he on the
Andersen
ice yet? The coaches
who-
are asking.
I'm not sure if
He's
it's
out there in a sweatsuit.
if Anderson's like telling them that he's not quite ready, if they're telling him don't go back in until you are, but all of a sudden it's deja vu all over again.
I mean, it's funny. You look at all the goaltenders between Carolina and Toronto. There was, Anderson and Ranta, but there's Nedeljkovic before that. Mrazek caught in the middle. Campbell doing, like, if you had to pick any of the guys, you'd take Campbell. I mean, I know Freddie's just not available. Anderson obviously had a Vezina caliber season, but he's not available. And I think there was some concern that would be the issue. Ranta, he's been hurt. Mrazek's God knows where. Nedeljkovic, terrible.
Yeah. When's the Mrazek update coming? Is that ever happening?
No one's even bothering.
Is he?
So it's super
Where is he?
nice.
Where is he?
I
He's
honestly.
on a beach
I was
somewhere
gonna say he's either in the Czech Republic or
He's in
Cabo,
Prague,
and
yeah.
nowhere in between.
with his 3.9 US.
Yeah.
All right. If you are like us and believe that every one of these teams is at the mercy of their goaltender, then you're gonna love our next guest, Mike McKenna, who's one of the best at analyzing all of them for Daily Faceoff. He's up after the break. You're listening and watching on our live YouTube channel, Real Kyper and Bourne. Yeah, I did.
Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
The topic of conversation from here on in has to start with the goaltending.
That's it. That's all there is to the sport.
The net on out is how you win championships. That's why our next guest, Mike McKenna, is going to be real important down the stretch. If off the top of your head, and if we take Vasilevsky out of the equation, like, what other team do you sit there and go, I got no worries about their goaltending off the top of your head?
I'm stuck. I got off the top of my head. There's none. I
Think about the trade deadline.
don't know.
Minnesota?
I
I don't know.
have some worry.
They're on a roll, aren't they?
They're extremely on a roll. I think they're 15-1-3 since they got Marc-Andre Fleury. So that's a good point.
I don't know. Is there another one that you go, I'm not worried about it?
Calgary, Markstrom, like him a lot. Demko is not going to matter.
Is there Markstrom done enough in the past to really not warrant I hope he shows up?
No, but he's had like a long track record in the NHL where I genuinely believe he's a good goaltender.
Shesterkin, are you
Yeah.
MVP candidate enough to go the Rangers?
He's just still new, right? Like it's not his first year, but he hasn't been around the league long enough to you're right, to have that sort of track record. But yeah, I'd say you put some faith in him.
Colorado. Kemper had it going for a few months.
Yeah, he's a good goalie.
Lately.
And also
little bit of a hiccup.
Just doesn't stay healthy either, right? Like, I don't know. It is interesting looking around the league, just going, boy, there's a lot of good teams, but it all hinges on this one guy. Imagine go down for pregame nap and you're like, well, the success of hundreds of people, staff and employees, hinges on me.
Just interesting now to watch this whole thing play out for Vegas. Thompson played the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And Leonard backed up.
So Leonard doesn't play great in a game. He's been fighting through some sort of injury. And his coach goes on in the media and says, basically didn't think he played very well. He got outplayed. And then he says he's going to go get the surgery. Anyway, we'll talk to Mike about it all.
Did you know that Louis Dominique is the second NHL goalie in history to have 4 straight starts with 4 different teams?
Mike McKenna might have thoughts on that.
The only other goalie that has done this is our next guest. But if you include the ACHL, AHL, KHL, NHL, minor midget hockey, this could be a lot longer than 4. Is that true, Mike?
Too many teams. But I tell you what's really funny about this is that I had no idea that I had an NHL record all to myself, no matter how devious it may have been, as being 4 straight starts with 4 consecutive teams. I had it all to myself.
That is incredible.
And lo and behold, my old teammate, my old Portland Pirate goalie partner, Louis Domingue, hops in, and now we are brothers in the 4-and-4 start club.
How does it even
and
happen?
we both catch with our right hand, all these things. It's just, another one of those footnotes to my career, I guess. It's pretty funny, man. I didn't even know it until I saw it the other night.
See, now you guys can go and hang out and drink and just say, this is ours. No one can touch it.
Well, what happens with Louis is that he gets to bake and I get to cook. Because he's a phenomenal baker. He can make you a pie that can't be beat, and then I'll make you barbecue, and we'll have a hell of an evening together.
I don't know why people think goalies are weird, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, no idea. So
because we cook. Cooking is a virtue.
No argument there. Baking, however, I'm going to say is a little bit different.
So where do you want to start? Let's start right here with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jack, they've done actually. I've said on the top of the show, I think Sheldon's done a nice job of protecting a trend that he's working his way back into a solid feel. And, are Leaf fans comfortable enough to say they feel as good as they did when they've watched him in the first 35 games of the regular season? No. But going through Tampa Bay, going through Florida, and now Washington, there's no sense that there's any panic either, which is a good thing.
No, and I think that you're spot on about Sheldon Keefe giving Campbell starts when he should. You don't need to overwork somebody this close to playoffs, especially when they're coming off an injury like Campbell has been. And you can look at raw numbers for what Campbell's done since coming back from his injury, and it's pretty easy to say, well, I mean, geez, he's allowed 3 goals and hardly any 1 goals or zeros against games. And, to me, you have to kind of pass the eye test with Campbell to think that, hey, okay, he's spent, to me at least what I watch, more time in his crease. He looks way more confident in what he's doing in terms of his depth and post integrations. And, he doesn't seem to have that same kind of questioning nature to what he was doing. He just looked like he was in between saves at times when he wasn't performing, and that's indicative of somebody who's lost your confidence. So I like what Keefe's been doing. I know it wasn't ideal with Shalgren going, and poor guy allowed 8 goals against, and he's on the hook for all of those in one game. But if you're the head coach, you got to leave Shalgren in. You're not bringing Campbell in midway through that game. That was the right call. So very much on board with what he's done so far.
Mike, if you're in Jack Campbell's position now, the Leafs have 2 games left. They get Detroit on Tuesday, Boston on Friday. Neither game likely to matter all that much. How much would you want to play? Would you want to play 1, 0, both? What are your thoughts on rest versus rust for goaltenders?
Yeah, I'd want every minute. That's just how I'm wired, though.
Yeah.
I think part of that's because I always wanted the net, not knowing if I'd get to stay in it or not with the nature of my career. It is Campbell's net. Okay, there's no question about that to me whatsoever. So I think the bigger thing is, hey, is he going to get both the games? Is he just going to grab one of them? With them being so spaced apart, I would play both games here. That's what I think would be ideal, especially knowing he has some rest. He didn't go yesterday against Washington. Shalgren grabs that game. So, play tomorrow against Detroit, get that under your belt, and then you got a couple days until Boston, who I would want to play against a good team leading into playoffs. I'd want to feel good about myself and what I've done on the ice and what mentally I felt against a team like Boston that can bring it. But it's also not Florida. So I think that matters. I'd want to go for both the games if I was him.
There's someone on our show whose name isn't on the title of our show, who thinks that he shouldn't play any games. Sammy. Okay. And I'm wondering, Mike, in terms of your partner on any team or just goaltenders in general, would the majority of them want to play, or would there be a part of somebody that says, nah, I don't want to play, I'll just get ready for game 1? Does it say something about somebody if they don't want to play the next 2 games to close out a season?
Well, everybody's different, but guys, if you're in the locker room and your goalie doesn't want to play, what does that say?
Right.
And everybody talks. If you're out to dinner with the boys a couple nights before and you're like, I really just don't want to play that last game. I don't know, man. Where's your competitive battle? Where's your fire for your teammates? Where's your desire to go out and make a difference and win? And that's what it always felt like to me. My job was to play. If I had a chance to play, I was going in. I was never turning that down. And you know what? These are discussions you do have to have with your coaching staff, because especially in the NHL, there's underlying things that we may not know about. I mean, for all we know, maybe there's a little bit of a nagging injury with somebody. And this isn't just goaltenders. This is why people get sat down and why they don't play, with a game or 2 left on occasion. But barring any type of injury, you want to know that your goalie wants to be in there for the guys. And I think that sends a message that you're going to roll out the best lineup. We're going to go in with some momentum. We're going to try to win this last game. And like I say, especially facing Boston, who's a team that, Toronto's had plenty of documented problems with them in the past and could potentially face them again in playoffs. You got to play that game.
For sure. There's tons of interesting goaltending situations around the league, and we're going to ask you about a few more. But before I forget, I wanted to ask you about the Leafs just signed this kid, Dryden Mckay, not asking you to know about him, but a college free agent, just won the Hobie. He's 5'11". I saw him listed one place as 6 feet. What are your thoughts on size? Almost everyone's 6'2" plus in the NHL now. It's just super uncommon to be able to goaltend to that size, isn't it?
It is. 6'2" has become the new glass ceiling when it comes to goaltending.
Yeah.
And for reference point, I was drafted in 2002, and I was a big goalie who could handle the puck. And I'm 6'2". Okay. That was, at this point now, 20 years ago, which, wow, I can't believe how gray I've become since then. But that's the difference now. Like a big goaltender is 6'4" or above. And, a 6-foot goalie isn't somebody that you would look at and think, boy, we're gonna tie our wagon to this guy. He's going to lead us to the promised land. Like, it just doesn't happen. We still have people out there that are changing the rules and the dynamics on that. UC Saros is incredible. He's not 6 foot, but he's really the exception to the rule. He lies outside the big bell curve when you look at statistical references. I mean, he's way out there. But what I like about this move, it's a 2-year AHL deal for the Marlies, ostensibly, but really for the Leafs. It gives McKay some time to blend into the pro scenery. I'd imagine that he would start in Newfoundland with the Growlers, ECHL, get his feet wet, understand what it's like. But really, it's a prove-it contract. It is his size. It is his age. And it's also that he's been really well insulated at Minnesota State. So to me, I think it's a no-lose situation for Toronto. They got more money than Davy Crockett. They can give out American League contracts and see where it goes. But it's going to be tough for McKay just based on size alone and his age.
This is just a little bit of a thinking outside the box, and I may be full of crap on this, but you would probably have a better beat on it than anybody. Is there a sense that the Leafs would even contemplate the timing of this and what kind of message you could send a goalie that you're still maybe thinking about re-signing, but you're not sure if you're going to want him back or you can even afford him if he goes on a run? Like, what would a signing of a Hobey Baker Award guy do to Jack Campbell a week before Game 1?
I'd hope nothing. If it does something to him, I don't think you really want Jack Campbell to be your goalie.
Fair point.
If you're playing to the best of your ability, why are you worried about a Hobey Baker winner? More or less, why are you worried about a kid coming out of college? I understand there's some clout there, and I understand that it's going to come with expectations. But hey, he's the best goalie in college hockey, even though he didn't win the best goalie in college hockey award, which is kind of weird. I think for Campbell, it's really you're just worrying about yourself, and you realize that, man, teams sign goalies all the time. They sign draft picks, they sign free agents, and all of them in some capacity has some juice behind them. It's your job to stay better than those goalies. It's your job to stay ahead of them. It's your job to be a role model and to be a mentor to those goalies in some ways. Look at Pekka Rinne, man. Like, Pekka Rinne got the most out of this game he could, and at the very end, he transitioned that last year or year and a half to really mentoring UC Saros. And Nashville did it the right way. And I don't think that was easy for Rinne because he's competitive, and he's way later in his career than Campbell. But it really pays off to have a good relationship there. So I don't think it's going to phase Campbell a bit. But if anything, it's just a reminder that you're going to have more goalies coming in, always trying to take your spot.
But we also are dealing with a guy that can overthink at times to the point where he's really critical of himself. I mean, we're not dealing with your typical mindset goaltender here. That's all.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. But I think this is low level enough. I mean, if they went out and, if they could sign goaltenders right now and they went and grabbed, the big free agent off the market, or if like Tim Thomas came out of retirement and decided to play for the Leafs, then I'd probably be a little bit nervous. But right now I don't see those happening.
So back to the NHL, the most fascinating goalie situation to me is Robin Leonard. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts of what's going on there? The guy was healthy and then hurt. What do you make of what's happening in the crease? Logan Thompson's been starting.
And by the way, Alan May described it as a soap opera. So I don't know if that makes Robin Leonard like Victor Newman or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's a soap opera, I don't know who's directing this thing, because I mean, maybe they'd get awards because there's plenty of drama and suspense, but I don't think that's what you want with an NHL hockey team that's on the verge of being eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs like Vegas is. And I don't know, guys. Like, I look at this situation and I think, well, first off, Robin Leonard's battled like crazy to get back into the lineup. He's had serious injuries this year. There's no doubt in my mind that he's playing through a ton of pain to try to help his club get where it needs to, and they decided to play him. So he did the best he could. He goes out against New Jersey. All right. He allows a bad goal where he couldn't catch a puck. It ends up in the slot. But then he allows another weird one later that looked terrible. And I could explain from a goalie perspective what happened. I don't need to bother doing that. The bottom line is that DeBoer buried him after the game, head coach of Vegas.
He did.
And just straight up said our goalie wasn't good enough. We lost because the Hamburglar was better than our goalie, despite the fact that Vegas couldn't score on 40-something shots or a power play against one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. He just put it all on the goalie. So that's strike one. You already said, basically, I don't believe in the goalie. Well, what happens 2 nights later? Gives Leonard the start again. Well, then he yanks him after making 12 saves on 13 shots on a 1-1 game. I've done this. I've been playing high-level hockey for 20 years since I left home at 16 and never seen that once in my life. The only question I have, guys, who decided to start Leonard? Was it Pete DeBoer or was it somebody above him in management? That's my question. That's what I want to know. Because to me, this felt like DeBoer saying, well, if we lose and don't make playoffs, I'm going to lose my job, so I better put the goalie in that I think can win for us. And in doing that, I'm going to alienate Robin Leonard to the extent that this guy's going to absolutely hate me because I've made him look terrible twice in a 3-day span. And that's where things are at. And now they got to beat Dallas on Tuesday night if they want to have any opportunity to keep going in the playoffs.
When you look at Vegas this season, most often than not, a team that disappoints like that and misses the playoffs, you can get away with looking at things like injuries and just saying it was just one of those years, blah, 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 blah. We were hurt. We lost our key guys. Everybody stays on. But I look at this scenario and injuries or no injuries, are we coming right back, Mike, to Robin Leonard over Marc-Andre Fleury? Can someone still explain that one to me?
I mean, boy, we hate to do the retroactive thinking and to look in the rear view, don't we? But
that's
you kind of have to on this one. Because here's the thing, guys. Like, Robin Leonard, when he's healthy, he's a really good goaltender, okay? Right. And he's a really good goaltender on teams that, when they defend middle ice well, let him see the shot. And I know that sounds simplistic, but this is real. Like, if you can keep things to the outside for Robin Leonard, he's excellent. He's been a top 10 goalie in the league this year off the rush. Like, the dude can play. But I will contend that he was absolutely set up to fail in Vegas unless he won a Stanley Cup, because it has nothing to do with his play on the ice except for him needing to win a cup, because that's the only way he would gain acceptance from a fan base that was so tied to Marc-Andre Fleury emotionally. I mean, in every way, he was the face of that city. And you bring in an interloper, basically. Like, Leonard had no choice but to win a cup. And the vocal minority has become really loud, and I'm not sure it's a minority anymore in Vegas. When Leonard got pulled from that game and Logan Thompson went in, the cheer from the crowd was so loud.
Oh, boy.
And that is a terrible feeling as a player, as a goaltender, because it feels like people have turned on you. Whether they were cheering, no matter how the fans were cheering, that's how it comes across. And that's damaging. And I don't think people really realize that. So it's a tough scenario to be in. And honestly, it didn't make any sense from the get-go, and here we are.
And he's a guy that has had mental issue battles, right? I mean, all of that has to come in play. And does he feel like it's so far gone that he can't win them back? And does that play into like where he is now and how he feels? I mean, it's. I hope that's not the case, but that's part of the equation right now. You have to think that. Are they putting him in a position to fail or succeed, right?
Yeah, well, and I to me, this has nothing to do with really past, present, future mental health. It's just who you are as a human being, man. I would hate to have that feeling. Like, I've been in those shoes before where you feel like a coach just throws you away. And that's what it feels like with what DeBoer's done to Leonard. You feel like you've been thrown away after you've worked as hard as you can to get back in a lineup. So I don't know how this goes, man. Like, it felt like that game the other night when Leonard got pulled turned into, well, either Pete's going next year or Robin's going next year or maybe more. Because if Vegas misses the playoffs, there's got to be a fall guy. There's no way they're going to look at it and just say, oh, injuries, run it back out, especially with the cap hit that they have or the cap problems that they have coming. There's a lot that's going to have to happen in Vegas before next season, and there's still 3 games left to play here. They're not out of the playoff picture just yet.
Hey, we'll watch, and we'll anticipate whether or not they're in or out as early as against the Dallas Stars. Hey, Mike, really appreciate your time as always, man. You're always welcome on the show.
Always a pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Okay, Mike
Thanks,
McKenna,
Mike.
everybody. I listen, it's a horrible feeling, as Mike alluded to.
Yeah.
But Pete DeBoer didn't go over the top on questioning a goaltender. I mean, historically, we've heard worse.
Yeah, I think,
It
though,
wasn't-
that
it
when
was-
the
come on,
guy's playing
completely-
through something, you're supposed to give him the benefit of the doubt and not mention it, or right?
Well, and we're dealing with a guy that is ultra sensitive too. We've seen that over the course
sure.
of what he's battled on and off the ice.
Yep.
But as far as Pete DeBoer is concerned, I don't think he maliciously went out there to throw him under the bus. He was critical. He was tough.
Mhm.
But this is the NHL, right?
Yeah. I think, though, that there is more to it where he goes, okay, I'm playing through this for you. Like, maybe, cut me some slack a little bit. And then the next game, 1-1 score, they pull him. That's a pretty profound statement that we don't trust this guy. You know what I mean?
If you go back a few years, it was clear that either DeBoer or Kelly McCrimmon or George McPhee, one of them, two of them, or all of them collectively said, "You're our guy, Robin," and Marc-Andre Fleury is not. Right? We pick you.
Well, they said we pick your salary. We don't know that the drop off from you
No.
to him.
We pick you. There was no salary. There's no salary.
Leonard's 5.5 and Fleury was 7.
No, the decision was before they gave him the $5 million over 25.
Well, but
right?
surely that played into it, knowing that he was going to play for cheaper.
Just the point is that we don't care if you've never won a Stanley Cup like this other guy.
Right.
We are picking you.
Yeah.
We're hitching our wagon to you. And Fleury was on the outside looking in, thus the Alan Walsh tweet and the sword and all of it. And now it turned on him.
Right.
He experienced the good side of it, and now he's on the bad side of it.
Great drama.
All right. Well, we welcome in our good buddy Sammy Squared. Sam Cosentino, how are you, pal?
Kyper, congrats on the awards for the Buddha there. That's pretty impressive
thank you
stuff.
very much.
Did you get an award?
Yeah, we Little Buddha, raspberry, lemon, and the grilled pineapple.
Yeah.
Were entered in a very prestigious spirits competition out in San Francisco.
Ooh.
And won a silver and a bronze.
Well, hey, congratulations.
And, there's a ton of companies out there that we were up against.
That's awesome, man. It is legitimately very good,
thanks.
according to everyone who's tried it.
Thank you very much, Sammy. That'll get you a few free cans.
We're hoping so, because my boiler can't go with the high-leaded stuff anymore.
How are you, pal?
I'm doing great, Kyper. How are you doing?
So what do we know about this Leaf potential signing? Was it Elliot Friedman who tweeted that the Leafs are about to announce or have announced, or what's the deal here?
Yeah, Fried's is.
It's official?
He's usually. Yeah, I don't know if it's official yet. I wait for the more paid guys to make it official.
Our Sammy
But,
says it
Fried
is
on it.
official. Our Sammy, and his name's Dryden Mckay, and all I know about him is he's only 5'11", and his dad's favorite goalie was Ken Dryden.
Well, and hence the name Dryden, right?
Exactly. What do you make of it?
Well, I do find it really interesting. First of all, I like the fact that, hey, if you're taking a sub-6-foot guy and you're signing him and you're giving him a shot, that's cool. The Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending, it's crazy what's gone on in that situation. When you think about the 4 or 5 guys from Wall to Hutchinson, Mraz, Campbell, the Shelgren that have all played in Toronto, there's another group of 4 or 5 guys that have all played with the Marlies at various points. And then there's a guy like Ian Scott who hasn't played at all. So, at one point, organizations thought was, well, we need to have goalies, but not too many of them because we need them to play. But in this situation, my gosh, everybody has seemingly played. I don't know. You should call Mike McKenna back and see if he got a start in there. He might have been in there at some point.
So, Sam, go ahead, Sam.
He's a Hobie Baker winner. Obviously, there's something there. I haven't seen him play, so I can't speak to what he's like technically or anything like that. Obviously, the stuff with the performance-enhancing thing, that's got to get straightened out. But by all accounts, he's going to be ready to roll for next year. And so you just add another one to the mix here. And I don't know, guys. Is he the answer? Is he the long-term solution? Is he a guy that, hey, maybe he's just going to be healthy enough to be able to play, 50 games in the American League because we circused through a whole bunch of other ones? I don't know what the thinking is, really.
Go ahead, Kyper.
I was just going to say, aren't all these signings, Sammy, and JB, I'll ask you as well, isn't it house money, free kick at the can? They've been a little successful over the years with the likes of Bozak and Steves. Is he NCAA?
Alex Steves, yeah.
So, I mean, what's the loss? What's the gamble, really, right?
No, that's true. And when you're a team that's, could obviously play well above the salary cap, how is it that you are able to utilize all the rest of your resources to make yourself better? So scouting, it's analytics, it's being able to sign 1 million people, it's being able to give your American Hockey League team a shot by, paying everyone more than what they would typically be worth on a typical AHL market to try and win there. So that's how you do it. When you're up against the cap and you have way more resources to spend, you find other ways to do it. And by signing more people is just another one of the options that the Toronto Maple Leafs have afforded to them.
So, Sam, we thought we'd step away from all these leaders in the NHL and take a look at what's coming up for some of the teams at the bottom of the NHL. When is the draft lottery? Can you give us an update on that? And what's the top 5 kind of looking like? How you got things shaken out here, bud?
Yeah, so the draft lottery will go on May 10th. The combine goes on May 29th to June 4th. It'd probably have a little bit of a different feel to it because some of the CHL teams will still be playing. But in terms of the top 5, we're probably looking at Shane Wright still being that guy. Logan Cooley, who's playing well for the U.S. at the under-18s, is going to be in that mix. It's a scenario where you're looking at it. Honestly, could go a lot of different ways after that. Juraj Slafkovsky's probably going to be in that mix. 7 goals as a 17-year-old, the Olympics for the Slovaks. Simon Nemec is the top-rated D right now, although David Juracek will probably play for the Czechs at the World Championships. So he'll have an opportunity to come back from a lengthy injury to prove his stuff. Simon Nemec is another guy. So they're not really a lot of household names other than, what we've heard about Shane Wright and maybe Slafkovsky to a certain extent because of what he did in the Olympics. Maybe Matthew Savoy because he was up for exceptional status but never got it. So it's going to be a really interesting draft this year. A lot of different little, quirks to this draft than what I've seen in my years covering it.
Sammy, we got the under-18s going on right now, and Connor Bedard is playing, correct? And lighting it. Like, is this even like a fair fight having this guy involved?
Yeah, no kidding. It's really amazing. And, I got to give him a lot of credit because typically when you play for the World Juniors, even though it was only 2 games in December, you're not asked to come back and play for the under-18s. But because he's still only 16 until July, they said, we'll take a shot at it. Regina's out. We could use the help because we don't have the normal complement of players. He said, oh, yeah, I'm good to go. No problem. He loves it. He loves it. So I love the fact that he just loves it so much that he's not thinking about, hey, I'm too cool because I already played in the under-20s. Just goes and does his thing, and he is unbelievable, and he continues to perform well there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he led the tournament in goals and points.
And do we think he's also going to play in this World Junior where they pick it up in August?
Oh, yeah. I don't think there'd be any question. There'd be no reason for him not to, really.
There is, Sammy. There is. It's enough. No. It's enough. Uncle. Like,
no, I don't think
come
so.
Come on, Sammy. 12 months a year. We're killing these kids, Sammy.
But they've been doing it for how many years?
It does catch up to them, though. It will catch up to them.
Yeah, and it might. And the thing is, Kipper, he'll be eligible for the other World Juniors in December as well.
Yeah.
So, let's consider that too, right?
I'm not trying to, kill your job, Sammy, of following these guys by any stretch. But, we can't squeeze every last ounce out of them. For every tournament that's out there.
I agree. They shouldn't.
Let me play devil's advocate. That's part of my job here. Played 24 games in the bubble for Regina last year, and 7 more at the under-18s. This guy played 31 games last year.
All right, so we're making up lost time.
Yeah,
Get 143 this year, and it'll be fine.
All right.
Take the positive spin. There you go.
There you
31
go.
games is not a lot. And the year before, he was injured in 2018, so missed a bunch of time then in minor hockey. So the guy, he loves to play. Let him play.
I got one more question for you before I let you go here. What's up with this Matvey Michkov kid today? I just saw him lacrosse-style goal to win the championship in Russia. Is he going to end up? He's a highly, highly talked about guy too, yeah?
There's three guys probably we're talking about for number one. Adam Fantelli, he's at the under-18s. Connor Bedard for this 2023 draft, and Matvey Michkov. So it's going to be, pick your poison. Do you want to pick a Russian-born player? By that time, do we feel the world is going to be a different place? Are we going to feel differently about Russian and Belarusian-born players with where we are in the world basically a year from now? I'm not sure, but when you see that kind of talent, I'd be hard-pressed to think someone's not going to take a chance on him. The other element to that is he's signed for, I believe, 4 more years after this one in the KHL, so you'd have to kind of finagle around that contract too.
Yeah, you came up with a really strong case for Bedard to keep playing hockey every day all summer. I give it to you. Plus, you plugged Little Buddha as well, right? So you're great in my books.
Right on, Kipper.
Hey,
help
thanks,
me with my boiler.
Hey, listen, if you go to drinkobs.com, they'll come straight to your door.
Oh, is this a new development?
All 4 flavors, Sammy.
I'll be drinking Little Buddha to get rid of my big Buddha.
Thanks for joining us, Sam. Sam Constantino, hockey analyst with Sportsnet. Yeah, that Bedard's like
just keep shooting it in the hockey net,
you're already NHL teams are trying to finagle now, tanking just to set it up.
You don't need to play
Arizona
every game, but
Arizona's already there, I think.
I just sent you guys a goal that he scored against Germany in the under-18s. Just filthy.
But truly, and this is a sincere question, what is the NHL going to do about having a potentially generational talent like this Connor Bedard kid get drafted to go play at ASU's little 5,000 seat rink? No way. I am Eric Lindros 100%. I am not going to go play for that club. I'm not. And who would blame him if he said that?
Shane Wright's arguably going first overall. Like, you think Shane Wright's looking forward to that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it fair to the kids to say, congratulations on making to the NHL. Your arena is literally smaller than Barnes in the league you just played in.
I was going to say, like, London's rink is twice the size of this.
Right. Like, you've made it.
Kingston has a bigger barn than this. Like, it's nuts.
And I think there's it's a horseshoe in Arizona. Like, it's not, they don't have seats behind the net.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. It's a horseshoe.
Oh, no.
I was like, where are you going with that one?
What are the facilities like for training and for...
You think there is any chance at all Shane Wright would say, don't pick me, I'm not coming?
Yes, 100% I think there's a chance. I don't know the kid at all. This is zero information, but to me, if he said that, who would come in here the next day and criticize him? Would you?
No.
No.
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I got to think about it.
Depends how he's feeling that day.
It took big stones out of Eric Lindros way back when.
This one, universally, people would go, I wouldn't do that either. I think.
It is. It's shocking that
not to say the fans don't deserve to have a star like that. They do deserve it in Arizona.
An NHL team cannot find an NHL building. It's just shocking.
The fans in Arizona deserve better. They deserve to have a rink so they can get kids like this to be excited to be in the league. It's brutal.
Are they supposed to have something definitive that at least people can say, okay, we're eating this crap sandwich because we're waiting for
because they're building this thing in Tempe.
We're getting the T-bone steak over here in a few years.
Yeah, well.
But if that doesn't happen.
Not good.
So in my hometown is the Harry Lumley Bayshore where the Onsen Attack play. It is a incredibly small arena. Feels like you're on the ice. The capacity there is 4,300.
That's almost exactly
sell out every game?
ASU.
No, they don't sell out every game.
Or whatever this rink is going to be called.
Over 3,000, close to 3,500.
Though.
Playoffs, they play tonight. Game 3. They're tied 1-1 with the Saginaw.
Sold out?
Don't know. Don't have. Oh, not with Saginaw, sorry. They're playing Flint.
Yeah.
No idea. No idea if it's sold out. So
Usually, though, those playoff games.
Yeah, and the Lumley Bayshore, if anyone's listening, if you're looking for a great night, couple cold old V's sitting in great, not a bad seat in the house, boys.
It is cool. Listen, those fans in Arizona have won the lottery because the ones who have seasons and go to every game and sit that close and get a sense for the action, the speed in a smaller barn, that is going to be unbelievable.
Truly.
So points for Arizona fans. You guys are going to have the best experience in the league for a couple of years anyway.
So I got some packages and I was just going to take them home, but Sammy for like 2 hours has been like, you're going to open them up? You're going to open them up?
Just stop.
I'm like,
one of the most popular genre of things on YouTube is people like opening things.
Unboxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this is from Man-Made, a company out of Montreal.
Okay.
And it's
what is it?
Men's underwear.
Oh.
Well, you're
Got
opening
any
that.
banana boats in there, pal?
Oh, and socks.
Key
Want a
too.
pair?
Merry Christmas. Sure. Thank you.
There you go. Oh, no, I want the black ones.
Oh,
You
good,
take
because
the-
I want the white. That's perfect. Oh, ankles too. Low cut. Wow, I just
Sammy?
won big time.
Ankle
you need
socks?
some socks?
Always. Ankle
This is
socks. Just
Man-Made,
wear no
the
socks in
crew.
your shoes like a man.
Low cut. You like low cut, Sammy?
Hate them. Hate them.
Oh,
Hate 'em.
love
I've
the
seen your ankles too, Dolphin. I've seen better legs on a piano, my friend. All right. Here we go. Here
That's
we
nice stuff.
go. Oh, yeah, I'm keeping this. I'm not sharing this. stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
Wow, that
All
looks nice.
All right. Thank you, Man-Made.
Thanks, Man-Made.
No.
VGK Dallas tonight. Do you want to?
Sure. Go.
VGK versus Dallas. Sorry, that's tomorrow night. Huge contest. The Vegas Golden Knights are plus 106. They are underdogs to beat Dallas. Man, they win that game. They're within 1 point of the Stars. Last night, Dallas throwing up on their own, Vegas throwing up on their own jerseys was huge. They lost a point to San Jose, got scored on in the final second, then lost in a shootout.
Can you imagine, though, the momentum or the new lease on life that they would have if they snuck in?
Oh, if they get in, don't want to play them. Don't want that at all. And you know what? As a hockey fan, I know everyone comes on the show. Alan says he doesn't want them to get in. A lot of people don't.
I can't.
I want it.
I can't recall a team where people within our industry are cheering so hard, universally against them.
Yeah.
And Alan touched on that.
It's just the way they've conducted business has not rubbed people the right way. You know, the way they've brought in superstars and shipped them out. I think Stastny was one of the guys they did that too.
And then out.
Fleury, you know, he's the face of the franchise. He's gone. You know, it's there hasn't been a lot of loyalty. It has been the next thing. And then trying to get Eichel in when they didn't even fit with the cap and asking Stone to.
You didn't even mention their head coach who. That was such a big story, about him catching a cab after a game.
Yeah. No, and that wasn't a great look either. And so there was this great identity and momentum and love for what was going on. It's Vegas, it's Sin City and then it's all gone to hell.
All right, just like that. 2 hours in the books.
And a fresh pair of socks.
You guys are all looked after now. Our thanks to Alan May, who covers the Washington Capitals for NBC Washington. Mike McKenna, Daily Faceoff. Sam Constantino, who does a terrific job getting you ready for the NHL draft from Sportsnet. JB, always a pleasure, pal.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. You too.
Sammy, Derek, Jennifer, we get to do it all over again. Hey, give us a rating and review on the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. For all of those joining us on our YouTube channel, thank you very much. And we're right back here tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks, everybody.
From the city.